Hey everybody, I'm back just for a brief period because it's the holiday weekend and I'm going to go visit some relatives and hang out with them. I haven't seen them for a while. But what I wanted to talk about was something that I came across on Facebook, and it really bothered me because the message that was being sent to black women to once again sacrifice themselves to take care of other people. And I took screenshots of the conversation so I would remember in case she deleted it or edited it or something. But it was my responses as well as what the topic of the conversation was, and it had to do with suicide. And I'm going to relate it to the conversations that we've had about boundaries and codependency. Most recently, when was that? Wednesday, they talked about codependency. So I wanted to kind of tie these things in together, because anyone who didn't understand about boundaries reading this woman's message would absorb some responsibility for someone else's life, someone else's decision, someone else's choices as being her fault or something that she should have, could have, would have done something about to prevent. And I want to say at the top of this show, you do not have the power to stop anyone from doing what they want to do to harm themselves. Okay, you can maybe intervene for a minute, a day, a week. But if that's really their goal, they're going to wait until you leave or hang up, and then they're going to handle their business because that's their choice. So don't ever feel like it's your responsibility for what someone else does. You don't have the power to save them. There's no S on your chest, okay? So let's start off with this. She says, this is going to be touchy for some, but if you're in a relationship or friendship with someone and they commit suicide, people should question you. That's what she said. So the first sentence, she's putting responsibility for what they do on you. And a lot of you read this and didn't even understand what was going on. What was going on where that person ended their life? Yes, people have choices and must take accountability, but we're way too isolated from each other. When we begin to treat each other the way we claim we want to be treated by white people. What? And the reason y'all want love from them is because you don't love yourself. We have to start at home first. If my friend, partner, family member, etc. is going through something, then I should help them. Some people don't want help, and at that point respect their wishes, but most of us don't even try. So when something gets to the point of suicide or homicide, whether within or outside of your ethnic group, it's the community as a collective that's at fault. We definitely have to do better. Okay. As a parent and you have a child and your child is a minor and you living in the same house with them and you see them every day and you're, interact with them on a daily basis and helping them with their homework and all the stuff that parents do with their children, it would probably be more likely that you would notice a change in behavior. Maybe they start dressing differently, they start having weird eating patterns or something like that. That does not necessarily mean suicide. It could just mean depression or a lot of stress, because kids are stressed. So yes, as a parent, you should definitely, figure out what's going on. But now let's talk about adults, other adults in our sphere, our partners, our friends, our family members. They're grown ass motherfuckers. Okay. Now, you should saying that people should question you about what they do. No, don't do that. And that's what I put. Don't question me because you're likely to get cussed out. I'm not Captain Save or Cray Cray. Folks fuck who they want. They do drugs they want. They eat what they want, and they drink what they want. They shoot who they want. They rob who they do all those things. They make all those decisions. They drive without a license. They speed when they speed to schools through school zones. I mean, people make stupid decisions all the time. I am not the police of what people decide to do with themselves. So none of these choices have anything to do with me. It's not my fault what they do. Don't ask me shit. And they should decide, and should they decide to off themselves, that's also their choice. So I warned the people reading this not to be a codependent. Unless someone asks you for help, you need to mind your own business. Because you start putting yourself in this position to take responsibility for their life. When does it end? When do you stop doing that? When is enough enough? When does that person decide that they got it, if they ever do? When do you decide that you can stop and go back to your life instead of attending to theirs? That's a very dangerous thing for people to do. Unless you're a mental health professional, you're not qualified to help anybody with their suicide. So then she comes back being a bitch and says, you seem to speak from a place of pain, but I understand and respect your sentiment. Thank you for sharing. See, that shade. And this is a typical Negroid response, because what they want to do, they can't see outside of themselves. Everything has to be a personal issue with you. You can't have researched things and done, education on suicide and codependency. You can't possibly have done any of that. You're speaking from a place of personal pain. So when I see this kind of stuff, I know people are ignorant and I don't want to be bothered. But I went on and I said, why do you have to take my opinion about a question and personalize it? That's very shallow. I'm not a shrink, and I'm not qualified to get someone hell-bent on escaping life from doing so, and neither are you. Unless someone seeks your help, taking responsibility for someone else's life is a classic codependent move. I don't do that. So she never responded to that. What she says in return is, shallow, says the woman who told others on her radio show. So she's been following me for a long time, because I haven't been on Blog Talk for years. That she'd kick her daughter out if she got pregnant. Don't start with me. You clearly have some issues. So see, she never addressed what I said about codependency. So I said, no, that would be you. I'm not obligated to take care of a baby I didn't fucking make. It's not my, that's a choice. And I would choose not to do that. And I told her in advance that would be the deal. She's not even pregnant now, and she's 25 years old. She understands about cause and effect and repercussions of stupid choices. You, however, don't want to teach those lessons. So let's talk about codependency. I'll get back to that in a minute. Codependency is an exaggerated sense of responsibility for the actions of others. This whole message here qualifies as a codependent message to codependents, to be more codependent on somebody who's all messed up in the head. Now, why do people commit suicide? Let's talk about that briefly. When you follow it all down, because most of them, they wanted to. There's a small percentage that do it accidentally, though. I remember the dude, he was doing that, what they call it, autoerotic choking thing, and accidentally hung himself. Oh, what a stupid man. So he ultimately, offed himself, but that wasn't his intent. There are people who take drugs and take an accidental overdose, and then they, check out. There are people who mix medications, and, and they don't pay attention to what the label says, and then they end up checking up out of here. I know some people who died because they used ammonia and bleach cleaning their house at the same time, and the fumes wiped them out. So they ultimately technically killed themselves, yes, but they didn't do it with the intent of killing themselves. The rest of the people choose to, either because they're just tired, they don't want to live anymore. And a lot of them say, it's not like I want to die, I just don't want to live anymore. Do you understand what that is? The difference is not like they are really thinking of it in the concept of, if I do this thing, I'm not going to be alive anymore, but it means I'm dead. It's really weird. The mentality is really confusing. Then there are those people who do something criminal or something that they're super ashamed of, right? They don't want to face the repercussions. Those are the ones that maybe go out and shoot people, then tell the police, kill me. Or they will, put a gun to their temple or take pills or slit their wrists. People do that kind of stuff a variety of ways, because of embezzlement, because of something that they're super ashamed of that they did to someone else. They just don't want to be found out, or if they get found out, they don't want to deal with the repercussions, so they kill themselves too. There are people that are terminally ill. They're tired of suffering. The pain is just too much for them. They are, they want to check out. And there are people who are depressed. Why? Sometimes it's a chemical imbalance. Sometimes it's because of the, stress and PTSD and whatever else. They just feel like they just can't handle it anymore, and they decide to end it, and so they kill themselves as well. The thing that I think is important for everyone to know is, study after study shows that there's a great many people who you will never know that they're going to commit suicide. That's why people are so shocked. Well, they were just in a party. They were just here. They were just at work. They were happy. They were laughing, and they were telling jokes and stuff. And then that night they kill themselves. Okay, so what, you got like a psychic power now? You can tell when somebody's ready to kill themselves, and even though they don't say anything, they don't leave a note, they don't give any clues, they go through great pains to hide it. The reason they hide it, because if they're intent on really killing themselves, and they know that you're going to notice that you're going to say something, you're going to be asking questions, you're going to be all up in their business. They will hide it from you because they don't want to answer your questions. They don't want you in their business. They want to do what they want to do. And so for someone to tell you if that person dies, if they don't need to be looking at you, that's bullshit. Nobody looks at you. Look at the person who offs themselves. That's what you do. Unless somebody, like these little kids getting bullied and stuff like that. Well, of course, they're children. They don't have the mental faculties to handle this kind of stress and pressure. But I keep saying, I said at the top of the video, I'm talking about grown-ass motherfuckers, okay? I'm not talking about kids. Kids, it is their parents' responsibility. So, according like this Harvard study, here we go. So I printed this out. Harvard Medical School. They say that in these numbers, this is from 2012, more than 100 Americans commit suicide every day. It's the 10th leading cause of death overall, 3rd among 15 to 14-year-olds, and 4th among 25 to 44-year-olds. And, they say, he says, like, so some people have identifiable mental health problems, depression, schizophrenia, addiction. Others don't. Some talk about wanting or planning to kill themselves or give other hints, but others don't. The decision to do it might just be made minutes or hours before they take action. So, that puts you in a very sticky situation if you're going to be taking responsibility for somebody who killed themselves, talking about, well, you should have done something. People accusing you of that. Don't you think people already feel guilty enough? They don't need you charging them with some shit like that. And here's let's talk about this in a little bit more detail. This codependency thing. And I went to great pains to talk about this in the video. You can see the live stream video on the Wednesday, and the big thing it says on the top, boundaries. That's the video. In there I give a good 20-minute discussion about codependency. But just to refresh you, in this video, codependency is a person who sacrifices their own needs to take care of someone who is sick. That sickness could be mentally or emotionally. Mental or emotional. They place other people's health, welfare, and safety before their own. They have good intentions, though. They try to take care of a person who's experiencing some difficulties, but the caretaking becomes compulsive and ultimately self-defeating. They get their sense of worth from others doing what the codependent thinks that they should do. So you're a codependent, you run in with your cape flying, and then you put your little S that you use some markers to put on your chest, and you... Ooh, they are moving too. Something must have really happened. And you rushed in because you're trying to, save this person, right? Okay, so you do all this, you put all your work into it, talking to them, giving them money, taking care of their kids, doing whatever, cleaning their house, doing so you do. What do you do if the person kills themselves anyway? How does that impact you? You put aside your whole life to make sure that they're okay, and they kill themselves anyway. How do you feel? What if they, because you wanted them to not kill themselves, right? That's why you're doing all this stuff, and then they do it anyway. What do you think? You got to look at this, because what I was saying about you rushing in, paying their bills, cleaning their house, doing all this stuff, listening to them all the time. You missing time from work because you stand on the phone listening to them whine and cry about, how awful everything is. That's not your job. Okay, you have to have boundaries between what other people need and what you can give them while you handle yourself and your responsibility and your family and your obligation. So like you staying up too late messing around with them, you go to work and you start messing up at work, and so you get written up. Okay, see, now you have sacrificed what you need for this person here. That's a codependent move. So this, codependents often take on a martyr role. That's what you do. You become a benefactor to somebody in need. Call me if you need anything. Just let me know how I can help you. Those are the chief phrases of the codependent. So these people, though, they step in and they have, they want to rescue somebody, right? So they try over and over and over again, and they become, but it creates this really weird dynamic, okay? Because the codependent is trying to help the sick person. The sick person, of course, being sick, is not quite capable of being independent, telling the codependent, okay, I got this. So since the codependent is there being a martyr, just laying down, being a rug for somebody to walk on, this other person, the needy person, will, continue to depend on them. Well, I'm a little short on groceries. I'm a little, tight on money. I'm just not feeling so good. Can I talk to you? Can I come over? Can I? Okay, so they're like starting to suck all the life out of you, right? Because you're trying to keep them from killing themselves. But at some point, you're going to get sick of that. At some point, you're going to realize that how drained you feel, right? Because this person is not taking care of themselves at all. They've put all the responsibility for taking care of them on you. Okay, that's what I want to avoid. When you see a situation like this, you get that person a referral. You can do that, which I will give you the number at the end of this video. You can refer them to someone who is licensed and trained and skilled at helping people with the problem that your friend or family member has. You're not going to understand it. You're not going to be able to do anything about it, and neither should you feel guilty about your lack of education, training, and professional licensure in a field that helping somebody when you're not in that field. Okay, that's not you. You have no power to help somebody if they don't want to, if they want to commit suicide. That's what they're going to do, whether you're there or not. They're just going to wait until you get tired, or they find a moment by themselves, and they're going to do it. Okay, so now we're going back to this post. So this was near the end when I saw it, right? So let me see what she's talking about. So I scrolled up and I read some of the beginning part of it. So then I found where this woman was talking about, how she had to give up some people. Wait a minute, where did I put it? Shoot, I don't know where I put it. But anyway, she was talking about how she has done all this stuff for people, but when she needed help, nobody was there for her. So then the original poster, the one who was having all these snarky comments, says, well, there's also such a thing as overextending ourselves in order to help others. I learned my lesson on that, never again. So I'm sitting there looking at this shit in disbelief, right? It's like, heifer, you say that, but then when I said that I wanted to do this very same thing, I'm got to be, have issues and problems and be in pain. She's talking out of both sides of her neck. She just don't know what the hell she's talking about. But the best comment I think on here was a young lady who said she works in the mental health field, and I liked what she had to say. I didn't see it until I was up to the top after I'd already had that several comment exchange. But this young lady says, we do have to be more involved with each other, especially those of us who may be struggling. However, as a mental health professional, my experience is that you can do your best to give people support and help, but ultimately they will make their own decision. I don't find it productive to blame friends and family members who are already grieving and already blaming themselves. And that was the best comment in the whole thing. Of course, even better than mine. I got to give her credit, because she basically corrected the woman's position, but she did it in a very gentle and ultimately professional way, because that's what she's trained to do. So who's gonna argue with that? That's her skill set. That's her background. And as I said, and she said basically the same thing that I said, that we can help folks out to the best of our ability. But at some point, you have to step away, because they have to take the reins of their own life themselves. You can't, be riding them like a pony and directing their every decision, and running around checking on them, seeing what they're doing and stuff 4 or 5 times a day and all the stuff. You don't do that. Even in AA, they have, you have your sponsor, right? You're supposed to reach out to your sponsor if you need something. They're not supposed to be calling you like some kind of micromanaging something. You identify when you need help. You identify when you're on the verge of breaking your sobriety. You do that. You take responsibility for yourself. So in a situation like this, she's advocating that other people step in and take responsibility for this person who is sick or going through whatever they're going through. And I disagree. The most you can do is say, I noticed you're doing this and that, a little bit different. Do you need some a referral to a health crisis line? Okay, that's all you're going to get from me. And, because it's not my job. to take care of other people and their issues. For whatever mindset they got into that made them want to off themselves, they're going to have to figure out a way to either address that or carry through with it, either one that they decide. But I'm not going to put myself, my household, my kids, my money, and all the stuff that to take care of someone who's got this mindset when they could have sought help before they determined that that was the only solution. You see what I'm saying? At some point they reneged on taking responsibility for themselves and decided that that was the best approach to handle it. And I just, I'm not gonna step in like that. So if you have a friend or a family member, co-worker, somebody that neighbor, whatever, who's you noticed has made some comments about, I may as well not be here. This is just, things are just too much. I can't really handle it anymore. Those kind of things that sort of sound fatalistic, or they start coming around and, they start saying like what sounds like goodbyes to people, thanking them and reflecting on the life that you shared together and all this kind of stuff. Okay, that's a sign that something, either they know they're going to die, because they say some people know that too. They have a premonition of when their death is going to come. So it's either that or they're planning a suicide. In the case like that, you print out this slide, or you copy it down, or you write it on a piece of paper, whatever you're going to do. 1-800-273-8255. That is the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. It is staffed 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. There is always someone, usually more than one someone, for someone who's in a crisis to talk to, and these people are trained. Okay, they have the skill set and the knowledge to help. 1-800-273-8255, National Suicide Prevention Hotline. So other than that, if someone around you, of course, you're going to feel confused, you're going to feel hurt, you're going to wonder, that's the natural thing. I guess people have been trained to feel guilty their entire lives. You're going to wonder what you could have done to maybe make it not happen and all that stuff. Don't even do that to yourself. There's nothing you could have done. If they didn't approach you and ask to talk to you, or say, I'm really floundering, I really don't know what to do, this and that, okay, that's the person that you help. You don't just go putting your nose in people's business when they're going through a little something. Let them come to you. Let them say something. Or like I said, if you notice those dangerous phrases coming from those words, or they start talking about a plan. See, that's what psychologists do. If you say that you want to kill yourself, they say, well, how do you plan to do it? That is the question that they always ask. And if the person has a concrete plan with like, oh, I'm going to do this and that, they have a step-by-step plan, they will put your ass in a mental institution on a 5150. Like you going right now, and no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you have a situation where someone's threatening to kill themselves and stuff at your house, or at your job or something, please call the police. Call 911 and let them know that it is a mental health intervention required, and so they will bring the proper medical professionals with them when they come, straight jacket if they need it, the little psych bus and all of that, and they will take them up to the psychiatric hospital for a 48 to 72 hour observational hold. And that's the best you can do. You know what I mean? Don't get overly involved in their stuff, because it'll drag you down too. And that's what codependents do, and that's why they're always drained and looking, all crispy and used up. They take on too much of other people's lives, of other people's roles, other people's responsibilities instead of their own. All right? This is Deb Cooper from survivingdating.com. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.